Oh, hello! Today we are going to do an unhaul, and I'm going to do it in a little different way just because of some of my filming constraints in terms of timing and lighting and sound and all that good stuff. I am going to do this mostly in voiceover. I'm going to show you the books because I haven't pulled them all yet, so I'm going to show them to you one at a time in a slightly different format. Some of you probably don't care about that, but I just wanted to explain in case you've seen my unhauls in the past and you are wondering why I'm doing it that way. TLDR, boring technical and timing reasons. But anyway, I have a good number of books that need to get out of here. I have a lot that I read and just don't want to add to my collection. I have a good number that I read and didn't like and therefore are not coming into my collection. I have some that I do kind of a biannual call where I go through my library and say like, oh, do I find myself referencing that or thinking about it or wanting to share it with you guys or wanting to lend it to someone? If not, then it's probably time for it to move along. So I have some of those. And then, yeah, I think those are the main categories. Things I read and like but don't want to come in, things I read and didn't like and therefore are not coming into the collection. Culling the collection. Oh, and I did have a few things that I just took off of my TBR, a few of those. So yeah, that is the unhaul you have in store for you. So here we go.
Hello, this is Future Mara, and it's the middle of the night, and it feels weirdly intimate to be talking to you like this. So we're going to start with books that have been in my collection that are getting unhauled. The fact that they had been added to my collection means that these are all books that I like. So just know, if you like these books, I also like these books. I just don't find myself referencing them enough to hold on to them. So with that being said, we're going to start with This Thing Between Us by Gus Marino, which I enjoyed. It's a good horror, sort of like literary horror book, but I didn't end up, I thought it might make one of my end of the year lists, and it didn't work out that way. So I'm going to move it along. It's good. Would recommend. Then we have Rafe by Rebecca Witherspoon, and that's one that I really did enjoy. I've had it on my collection for a while, but I don't find myself referencing it, so that's why it's going to move along. Living by Fiction, Annie Dillard. I confess I read this a very long time ago and don't really remember it, and that's why it's leaving. I have the latest 3 issues of Monstrous, which is a series that I love, but I just ordered the bind up in hardback form, so I'm unhauling these 3 and replacing with a deluxe hardback edition. The Mystery Writer, I DNF'd, so I don't know that I can say that I love this, and in fact this probably belongs in a different section, but I DNF'd this. I did not enjoy it and don't necessarily recommend it. It's kind of the main character's point of view is just very tedious. So pretend that that's in the DNF section when we get to it. Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. Again, enjoyed it. I think it was on one of my lists the year it came out, but I haven't really found myself thinking about it, and then I didn't end up reading the sequel, so I felt like it could go. Dark Corners. I really, really love this book, but my mystery thriller shelf runneth over. I have a lot that I really enjoy. And while this was a favorite of the year, I haven't found myself referencing it, so I felt like it could go to make space for other mystery thrillers that are to come. Deathless Divide. I really love the first book in this. Oh God, I can't remember what the first book is called by Justina Ireland, but it's one of my favorite kind of speculative YA books. This was also good. It just isn't nearly as good as the first one. And Dread Nation, that was the first one. And it's just kind of chonky. So I felt like it was taking up space. So that's why it's going to go, but I'm holding on to Dread Nation. How to Survive Your Own Murder is a YA horror that I really enjoyed last year. I would really recommend. I thought it might make an end of the year list, and it didn't end up doing that. So that's why it's going to go. And then the best that we could do is the last of the sort of things that were in my collection that are coming out. I enjoyed this memoir. I recommend it. It's a graphic novel. I haven't found myself referencing it that often, so that's why it's going to go. Then I really messed up the way I filmed this now that I'm looking at it. One of Us Knows is a book I read and did not enjoy. It belongs in the read and did not enjoy category. I talked about this one a lot at the end of the year, so if you want my thoughts, go listen to the worst books of 2025 for more info. Okay, so now apparently I have the right categories. So these are DNFs or just coming off my TBR. I liked Juniper and Thorn enough when I read it, when I tried a chapter, but when I actually went to read it, I just didn't get very far in it. I didn't end up loving the voice, the plot, the characters. So yeah, I DNF this one and we're going to move on. Rage Becomes Her, The Power of Women's Anger was a really good nonfiction. I've had it for so long and I keep not reading it that I just kind of realize that tells me I don't really need to read it. I don't know that I'm at a point in my feminist journey where accepting my anger is something that I need to worry about. So I just think maybe I have grown as a person past it. But very well done if you're interested. Truth and Method by Hans-Georg Gadamer. This is a book I'd always been meaning to read, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. And then I saw somebody in a different book I was reading talking about the philosophy in it, and I realized that I no longer am interested in what he's talking about in this book, so I'm just taking it off my TBR without reading it. The Sentence is Death. I've DNF'd this series, and therefore that is why I am unhauling this book, because I'm not going to continue in the series. I don't want to read another entry, so it's got to go. A Letter to Three Witches. This one was weird. When I started reading it, I thought it was like some kind of cozy fantasy book. I think somebody had recommended it to me, and I just ended up not liking the project of the book. It didn't read that cozy to me, and I didn't like the other stuff in it enough to keep going. I also DNF'd Welcome to the Fae Cafe. This is another one I had recommended to me as a cozy fantasy romance, and I just didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the writing, didn't like the characters, didn't like I like the setup and the premise, but I DNF'd this very quickly because it just was, in my opinion, not very good. Time is History by George Grant. I started reading this as a part of the kind of historical method research I've been doing, and just realized that it was not what I thought it was. I don't recommend this. I guess I wanted to say it's up its own arse, and maybe that's what I mean. Okay, we'll move swiftly onward. I feel bad about George. And then Starlit Winter Nights. This is one that is just a dupe. I thought that it was its own a different book than it was, and I'd already read the book in a different physical form under a different title. So, yeah. Then let's just move on to the ones that I read and liked, but not enough to keep. So first we've got this whole little batch of Nora Roberts. I liked some of these more than others, but I just don't typically hold on to mass markets long-term in my collection. They're really just, I read them and then pass them along. Oftentimes, I've gotten them from used bookstore or whatever, and yeah, they just don't stick around. Dancing with Death by Joan Coggins. It's an okay golden age of detective fiction, isolated close circle mystery. That was a lot of descriptors. It's fine. It's not great, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It kind of gave me Christmassy vibes, but not nearly as many as I was hoping. The Christmas Tree Farm did deliver on the Christmas vibes. I can safely say it's probably the worst written of the ones I've read in this series, but I did enjoy it for holiday fun. It reads like a Hallmark Christmas movie, but with smut. But I just don't need to keep it or reference it, so I'm going to pass it along. Shadow Life by Hiromo Goto, I believe is the author. Yeah, I like this one, but not nearly as much as other people seem to, so I feel like this one deserves to have a second life with somebody who will enjoy it more than I did. It was fine, it was good, it just wasn't great for me. And it wasn't as magical as I was hoping. It was more magical realism than fantasy. Then we have the last 2 books in the Tiffany Aching series from Terry Pratchett. I am keeping 2 books in this series, the second and third one, but all the others I've unhauled. Just they weren't my favorites, and I didn't feel like I needed to hold on to them. But I definitely recommend the series as a whole, especially I think books 2 through 4 are the strongest, and you could probably read those just as a little trilogy. Five Found Dead by Sue Laurie Gentle. This is an isolated closed circle mystery on a train, which I frickin' love. And this was fine. This was probably, if you liked With a Vengeance by Riley Sager, it's about as good of this trope as that is. Not the best, not the worst. Sufficiently entertaining for me to enjoy, but not to hold on to. Tea with the Altar and A Pirate's Life for Tea. I just like the first book in the series the best, which is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. And I think I probably wish I just read that as a standalone. These were fine. They were enjoyable, but not memorable necessarily. And I didn't even care about them enough to read the fourth one, which is the last one. And then the McGregor Christmas duo. Well, I gotta say, the first book I DNF because it was not Christmassy at all. It included essay as a war crime on the first page. And then the other one was fine. It's set during the Revolutionary War. It's set at Christmas. It was a historical, and it was just okay. The Wood at Midwinter, I got to tell y'all, I feel like this is a cash grab from Susanna Clark. And hey, get your coins, girl. Can't blame you there. The illustrations are beautiful, but there's it's not even enough as a short story. It's barely a parable. So yeah, not my favorite. Yeah. The Hitchcock Hotel, I enjoyed this one, just not enough to keep it. It's kind of a fun, campy premise, and I think it would have been even better if it had leaned into the camp a little bit more, but it's a Hitchcock-themed hotel where people get stuck and then somebody dies. Somebody did it. Got to figure out who done it. Similarly, Hella and Death is a bunch of friends who get snowed in at their a-hole college friend's manor, and somebody dies, and you got to figure out who done it. Good, but I'm not going to keep going in the series, so I didn't feel the need to hold on to it. Wardrobe Crisis by Claire Press was interesting, especially as sort of a time capsule of the ongoing conversation about overconsumption in fashion and fast fashion, but a little out of date at this point, so just didn't feel the need to hold on to it, but an interesting enough read. Bound to the Shadow Prince by Ruby Dixon is kind of a weird romantasy. I don't think it really gives romantasy readers what they usually want, but it's Ruby Dixon, so I enjoyed it, but just not enough to keep it. The Enigma of Room 622 was a weird one. I picked this for book club. Me, Leanna, and Amanda had a good convo about it. It's kind of a meta-textual mystery because the author is himself a character in the book, but not fully, and it was, I couldn't put it down, but I didn't necessarily like it. So very mixed feelings about it, but I would try something else from the author because it was distinct enough that I'm interested in more. I really enjoyed The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. This was probably my favorite Christmas-themed read of 2025. Broken record here. I liked it, just not enough to bring it into my collection. I don't think I'd read a sequel if it's the same characters, but I would read another book like this by this author because I thought it was pretty entertaining and pretty Christmassy. Library at Hellborn by Cassandra Khaw. I think I'm going to have to put Cassandra Khaw on my list of authors who I really like their ideas, but maybe not their execution. This was interesting. This is another book club pick, but I don't know that it was all that well realized. So, yeah, it was okay. And A Line to Kill was fine, but I mentioned this earlier when we were looking at The Sentence's Death. I just don't think the series from this author is for me. I really don't like the two main characters, I feel like they don't have chemistry together. It's a self-insert character. Literally, it's Anthony Horowitz in this book. So I hope he's more pleasant in real life than he is in the books. But the mysteries are fine, but I just don't really care for the main detectives enough to keep going. Summer in the City, I like less and less as time has gone on, I have to say. It's just, I don't know. I just think that it's deeply, like, the main characters are not pleasant, really, at the bottom line. And it's a romance with a tech billionaire, and I just couldn't stop picturing Elon Musk. And our main character, I feel like, is a little not like other girls. So, not my favorite contemporary romance, but it was okay. Death at the Sign of the Rook, I feel like, had false advertising because it's advertised as a isolated closed circle mystery, and it's not really that. I think if it had been a short story just following the art theft in it, it would have been more successful for my taste, but that was not what it was. So, yeah, it can go. I really liked Marble Hall Murders. This is the last in the trilogy from Anthony Horowitz with Susan Ryland. That's my favorite series from him. This is the weakest of the three books, in my opinion, just because it kind of goes a little off the rails. But I did like this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was enjoyable. I just didn't feel the need to bring it into the collection. And last but not least, Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I loved Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and I'm still waiting for a book to love as much as I did that one. This was not it, but I did like it better than the other kidnapping one she did last year. And I think that's all of them, maybe? Yeah. Peace out, Boy Scout.
Wasn't that great? Wasn't that beautifully edited? Wasn't that wonderfully shot? I assume that's what I did. Yeah. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy that. I'm always nosy about what people are getting rid of, so I assume that that's you guys too, and you enjoy seeing that as well. Let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about and what your thoughts are on them. And yeah, I hope you are doing well. I hope you are taking care of yourself and your friends, your family, your community, all that good stuff. Hope you're having a great start to the year. Hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going to post, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and we will just talk soon. Bye!